Right. Welcome everyone. Let's start with our usual prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So briefly discussed moksha last time, and we started the next topic. Uh, so I will start with verse 42. I think we did 39, 40, and 41 last week. So let's do 42. Uh, can you guys repeat after me, please? Uh, right. Yam imam
Yam Imam
pushpitam
Pushpitam
vacham
Vacham
pravadanti
Pravadanti
avipaschita
Avipashita
veda
Veda
vada
Vada
rata
Rata
partha
Partha
na anyat
Na Anyat
asti iti
Asti Iti
vadina
Valena
yeah, kama
Kama
atmana
Atmana
swargapara
Swargapara
janma
Janma
karma
Karma
phala
Phala
pradam.
Padam
Yeah. Uh, kriya
Kriya
vishesha
Vishesha
bahulam
Bahula
bhogai
Bhogai
aishwarya
Aishwarya
gatim
Gatim
prati.
Prati
Okay. So before I go into the verse, or just quickly explain what he mean, what this verse, these two verses say. This is 42 and 43. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, uh, the Vedas, they have flowery words, which means they're elaborate and they have a lot of uh, details in it. uh, regarding rituals, regarding mantras, and how you can reach celestial abodes. If you remember Nachiketa's story, he is in that story. He asked Lord Yama to give him details of a ritual, a yajna, which will help people go into heaven. So Lord Krishna is talking about those things. Lord Krishna says these portions of the Vedas are pompous ritualistic ceremonies. Okay, it is for you to attain higher birth, or for enjoyment, or for elevation into higher planets, heavenly planets. So, uh, if you remember Ramayana, when we discussed Ramayana at one stage, all right, Dasharath he performs yajna with the help of a great saint, and through that yajna, he has four sons. Again, you come into Mahabharata. There is a yajna Drupada performs to have kids, to have a son who can kill Drona. You have Yudhishthira performing a yajna. So these yajnas, they come from the Vedas. All right. And these Vedas, they are for a certain reason. So it could be for a child, like in the case of Dasharath. It could be for rain, for the uh, farmers. It could be heaven in the case of Nachiketa's story. So you can ask for whatever material stuff you want, whatever is there in this life. Now, what I want to do is I want to pause this here and explain a few things. Um, so the first thing I want to I want to discuss is the Vedas itself. So what Lord Krishna refers to the Vedas in in these two verses, and he's talking to a certain talking about a certain aspect of the Vedas, certain part of the Vedas. If you remember at the very beginning, I explained how the Vedas are, how the Vedas came into the picture, and what are the different parts of the Vedas. So, for instance, you have the Samhitas and the Brahmanas. So, Samhitas are the mantras. The Brahmanas give detailed explanations on the yajnas, on the rituals, etc. Aranyakas is where the rishis start on contemplating on uh, what all of this means. And then it's in the Upanishads, they come to a conclusion and they explain what the truth is. So, this is the four parts. So, Lord Krishna, when he's addressing Arjuna, he is talking about the first couple of parts, which is in one way called the Karma Kanda. And that is why back then, if you use the word karma, yoga, it would refer to rituals. And this is where Lord Krishna starts with Buddhi Yoga, saying attitude. You look at the attitude on this one. And later on, then he slowly explains it as Karma Yoga. Anyway, so coming back to this one. So the mantras, the yajnas, they're all about three aspects of your life: dharma, artha, kama. So we discussed this last week. You have something called purushartha, which is the goals of human life. So it could be dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Kama is something that you're seeking immediate pleasure from. Artha is you're looking at a longer term, and that is why you go out and earn money so you can have luxuries of life. Dharma, on the other hand, you're looking at much longer. You want to do something in this life that will give you a better life in the next birth. So you're looking at a little longer term aspect of your whole life cycle. Now, what Lord Krishna is saying is you are kind of stuck in this karma. Earlier, if you remember one of the words, karma bandha, you are kind of lim- uh, uh, limiting yourself to dharma, artha, and kama, and you are still in that cycle of that birth and death cycle, and you're not getting out of it. So this is for me to explain this to you a little more. Uh, yeah. So we talked about moksha. I gave you a detailed explanation on what moksha is. So he's telling if you are stuck with the everyday aspects of life, and if you are only looking at the karma kanda or the ritualistic aspects of the Vedas, then you will be stuck in this life cycle, cycle after cycle, every life cycle. You will not get out of it. You need to get out of this. This is where moksha comes into the picture. I want to explain one other aspect or introduce two more terms here. One is called Satya, the other is Mithya. We've used the word Satya before for Brahman. What we have said is Satya is uh, Brahman, which is real. The only thing that is real is Brahman. We can't even call it thing because we don't know what it is. We can't uh, understand Brahman uh, despite all the explanation. But to give you an idea, Brahman is the real. It's like saying the clay is real. Any figurines that come out of it, they are apparently real. Underlying fact is it's only clay. The same way about our dream. The person who's sleeping is a Brahman. The dream itself is not real. It is apparent real. So in the dream sequence, you feel that everything is real. So that is what the distinguish between the two. And for us to um, uh, just to make things easier for you, let's call it Brahman 1 and Brahman 2. The reason I'm doing it this way is there's only Brahman, there's nothing else. But Brahman 2 is Brahman 1, let's imagine that's the person who's sleeping, that's real. Brahman 2 is the dream. Okay, and this is Mithya. This is apparent real. All um, the entire universe that is there, okay, that is like this dream. And you have and you, me, we are all part of that dream. We are jivas in it. Okay, so that's Mithya, and Brahman one is Satya. So we are looking at it that way, just to make it easier. Our entire karma that we are talking about, it is a part of this dream world, Brahman too. Okay, and as long as you're chasing after pleasure in the sense of karma, which is immediate pleasure, as long as you're chasing after pleasure in the longer run, which is artha, or for the rest of your life, you want this luxury, that one. As long as you're looking at the next cycle of your life, you're stuck in mithya. So that is what Lord Krishna is trying to explain in these two verses. So let's go on to the next one. If you can repeat after me, Bhoga,
Bhoga,
Aishwarya,
Aishwarya,
Prasak Atma sorry, my apologies, I'm not reading this. So Prasak Anam,
Prasad
Tat Anam
yep, Taya
Daya,
Daya
Aparita
Aparita,
Aparita
Chetasam
Chetasa,
Chetasam
Vyavasaya
Yavastaya,
Vyasaya
Atmika
Maka
Atmika,
Buddhi
Buddhi,
Samadhav
Samadho,
Samadhav
Na Vidhiyate.
Na
Vidhiti
All right.
Vidyate.
Yeah. So this is kind of a flow on from the last verse. As we discussed, we are talking about dharma, artha, kama, which is pleasures of Brahman too. We are looking at the smaller life cycles, or we are looking at life cycles, or we are looking at this life and we're saying this is what we want to achieve, or immediate pleasure. So these are the things we normally think about. And for this, we have uh, rituals which give us a which in the olden days gave you worldly pleasures, but this will not give you perfect contentment. So that is what this verse is explaining. For you to get your perfect contentment, you have to look at the option of moksha. Think about it this way. Today you've got one of the latest phones. All right. In a year, that phone is not new anymore. The excitement you had when you bought your new phone is no longer there. Something new has come. What do you want? You want that upgraded version of the phone. You look at any aspect of your life. So today you have um, uh, uh, when you were a kid, all right, for instance, you had some toys that you really enjoyed. Today, if I ask you about those toys, oh, I was really little and I played with them then. So as you grow, as you go along in life, your desires change or become more and more prominent. You're looking at a lot more luxury than you had before, right? Today, you're probably going to school by bus. Once you're able to drive, you'll probably buy a car, a small car, maybe a second-hand car. Once you start earning money, you want to buy a more luxurious car. Every aspect of your life is like this. Your desire never ends. This includes dharma. Okay, next life I want to do well. What happens next life comes? There you're saying, okay, the following life I want to do well, and so on. And this is if you realize that you want a better life next life. So Lord Krishna is talking about this aspect of desire which is never ending. But when you talk about moksha, there's only moksha, there's nothing beyond that. That's perfect contentment. Okay, that's absolute bliss. And that is what he's asking Arjuna to pursue. Any questions? Is that making sense? Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next verse. If you can repeat after me. Traigunya
त्रैगुण्य
Vishaya
विषय
Veda
Veda.
वेद
Nistraiguna
निश्चैगुण
Guna.
Bhava
Baba.
भव
Arjuna
Guna.
Nir. This is slightly complicated. This word Nirdvandvo
द्वन्द्वो
निर्द्वन्द्वो
Nitya
नित्या
Sattva
त्व
सत्व
Tha
था
थ
Niryoga
निर्योग
Niryoga.
Kshema
हेम
क्षेम
Atmavan.
आत्मवान्
Okay. Traigunya. So this is a word that is new, and I would love to explain this in a little more detail. You know how we discussed earlier that we have Brahman 1 and Brahman 2. Brahman 2 is the universe and which is apparent real. It is called Mithya. So this universe has, as per the old rishis, the basis for everything is three gunas. Three gunas or three attributes. Okay. Or three modes of material nature, you can call it. So anything in this universe has these three elements. Modern day science has energy and matter. In the olden days, this is how they've done it. So what are these three gunas? I can explain it. It'll become a little complicated if I explain the definitions of these. So what I'll do is I'll try and put it in a story to explain it to you. Now, I want you to imagine that there are two villages. Okay, they are at least a day's travel apart on foot, and this is in the olden days, so they'd have to travel by foot or by horse. So imagine it's a day's travel from one village to the other. The first village hasn't had rains, so their crops are dying. They don't have any food. They don't have too many. They don't have many jobs. On the other hand, the other village has had rains recently. They have abundant uh, produce, and they're looking for workers. So that's how good that village is doing. Now, the first village, there are three men who are without a job. All right. So the first one, he is always positive. He loves the idea of trying to make things work. So what he does is he says, I'm going to set off. I'm going to go to the other village. And he's very enthusiastic. He's got all the energy in the world. He starts walking. Now, between the two villages, it's kind of barren land. All right. But there is one mango tree in the middle, surrounded by a small pond, or on the banks of that pond, there is this mango tree. This guy, he's excited to see because he's tired having walked morning till afternoon. He's quite excited to see the mango tree. What he does is he quickly uh, this mangoes, nice mangoes on the floor, on the ground, sorry, on the ground, but he doesn't pick up. He just goes up to the tree, picks whatever mangoes he chooses. He likes it. He sees it's delicious. What he does is he has a bag. He fills it with mangoes and he says, I can sell this in the village and I can make money out of it. So he's already thinking about how much money he can, or how much wealth he can create just with these mangoes. He's also looking at, oh, when I go there, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make a lot more money. So he's already thinking about those things and he's excited. So this is the first guy. He's got all the energy, he's got the attitude, and he's gone. He's moving on to the next village. The second person, he assesses the situation in village, and he realizes that there's no work for him. The people in the village can manage without him, so he leaves for work in the next village because he needs to find some work. He goes, he looks at the tree, he looks at the fruits on the ground, and he's quite happy because he's also hungry. It's lunchtime. So what he does, he picks up the fruit from the ground, yeah, cleans them in the pond, and then he eats it. And then he realizes that there's no other trees since he's left the village. So what he does is he the seeds of that fruit, he takes it and he starts planting it in a few different places. He says, people that come, they will get this. Uh, Hopefully, in the future, these people can uh, find more trees, there'll be more fruit, and it'll help everyone. And then from there, he moves on to the village, goes to the next second village, and he gets a job. The third person is a little lazy. He's lazy and he doesn't care about anyone, doesn't care about uh, anything around him. Right now, he's lazy, he doesn't have a job, but he doesn't have money to buy food or anything. So he's kind of forced to get up and go. So he gets up and he decides he's going to the next village because there's no jobs in his village. He goes along and he finds the tree. Now, what this guy does is he starts getting greedy. He says, okay, I'm going to chop off some of the branches and I'm going to take the branches along with the fruit to the next village and I'm going to sell and make a lot of money. Imagine this. He's thinking that he'll make money and he doesn't have to work after that. So what he does is he chops down the tree, makes a small cart, puts all the branches in there, as much wood as he can, puts mangoes, takes it and takes it to the next village. These three people have three completely different characteristics. The first one has all the energy, everything. He's constantly on the move and he's constantly thinking about how he can help himself, how he can do well. But he's not destructive. The second one is thinking about everyone around him. He's thinking about the environment, he's thinking about everything around him. The third person is destructive. He's lazy and he's only thinking about himself. He doesn't care about anyone else or anything, whether it's environment or anything. So these three are three characteristics of what I'm about to explain. So the three words, the three new words I'm introducing are Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So Rajas is the first gentleman or the first man who is thinking about himself. He has a lot of energy, he's constantly on the move. Okay. He wants to make money, he wants to have all the luxuries in life, everything. The second person who is thinking about everyone, this is called Sattva Guna. The third one is called Tamas, Tamasic Guna. This is kind of negative. It does not help anyone. In fact, it's kind of nuisance for everyone. So you would have come across among your friend circle somebody who's constantly complaining but not doing things. So immediately you'll start saying this person is tamasic. Somebody who's constantly on the go trying to do well, constantly doing things, that person's rajasic, being creative or whatever that is. Then you have somebody who's calm, who's collected, who's poised, who's thinking about everyone in the group, who's kind of maybe a leader who's thinking about everyone, who wants natural leader. I'm talking about not somebody who claims to be a leader, rather somebody who's a natural leader who's doing the right things and people want to emulate that person. So you got that's sattva. So these are three gunas in a mithya position. Now I don't want you to go and start assessing everyone. The reason is every individual will have these three gunas in different proportions. Some will have rajasic and tamasic, some will have sattvic and rajasic, some will have tamasic and rajasic, or some will have all the three. And there's different proportions. So you can't put anyone in one box. Okay, so don't go and start assessing people. It's probably not the best idea. But this gives you an idea of what rajas is, what sattva is, and what tamas is. Okay, these are the three gunas. I think we've just. I'll finish this verse anyway. So Traigunya. So he's Lord Krishna is talking about the three gunas of the material nature, or three modes of the material nature, or uh, the mithya, or the Brahman too we were talking about. Okay, so this comes from the Vedas. Okay, what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, Arjuna, all of this belongs to mithya. You need to rise above these three to go into the spiritual path. Free yourself from all the dualities. Okay, there is nothing but Brahman. You need to start looking at it that way, and this is where your spiritual path will start. All right, you anything you're looking at from a kama, dharma, or dharma, kama. Uh, Sorry, dharma, artha, kama. If you're looking at only these three, you're stuck in this material life. You want to go into the spiritual life. You want to go into a want to aim for moksha, which is the highest uh, desire one can have. Then you need to start thinking differently. You need to move away from